According to recent polls, fundraising receipts, and personnel changes, the Ron DeSantis presidential campaign is floundering. Intrigued? Then click that like, subscribe, and the alert bell, and maybe check out my Patreon, and enjoy the video. Folks, the past several weeks, if not the past several months, has just been a series of back-to-back bad news for Ron DeSantis, the Republican governor of Florida and aspirant Republican nominee for the 2024 presidency. There was, as we've discussed repeatedly, once upon a time, there was a time when Ron DeSantis was not only competitive with Donald Trump, in certain polls towards the beginning of the year, he was actually polling ahead of Trump. But now that seems to be a completely bygone era. It's like a distant time. It's like the Jurassic period, right? Dinosaurs roamed the earth at a time when Ron DeSantis was a genuine threat to Donald Trump's primacy within the Republican Party. And folks, it's gotten so bad that in previous videos I said that, instead of being at the top tier with Trump, he has fallen into like a mid-level tier between Trump and then people like Vivek Ramaswamy, Chris Christie, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, etc. and so forth. But now it seems that he has relinquished that second tier and is joining others in the bottom tier. Or perhaps Vivek Ramaswamy is joining him in the second tier. But the bottom line is it's really bad news for Ron DeSantis because two polls have come out in the past few days that indicate that Vivek has caught up with Ron DeSantis. So a new survey of the 2024 Republican presidential race finds a dead heat for second place, according to a survey from Kaplan Strategies, which shows that Ron DeSantis and businessman Vivek G. Ramaswamy are each tied at 12% of the vote each. Both men are well behind Donald Trump's 48%. Folks, this is not good. And you might think, okay, well, this is an outlier, as bad as an outlier may be, but it's not. So there's another poll that came out by Harvard and Harris just a few days later. Biotech entrepreneur, and this is according to The Hill, biotech entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy is seeing his support tick up in the Republican presidential primary against Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis, according to a new Harvard Caps Harris poll survey released on Monday. When respondents were asked who they would vote for if the presidential primary were held today, 52% said Trump, of course he's still the clear winner, and 12% said DeSantis, and 10% said Ramaswamy. So this one's a bit better in the sense that he's just a few percentage points behind DeSantis. This is a better poll for DeSantis. But either way, based on these two polls, these two very recent polls, Vivek is breathing down Ron DeSantis' neck, which is profoundly embarrassing when you consider the lack of name recognition for Vivek, the lack of celebrity status from Vivek, the lack of political expertise from Vivek. This is profoundly embarrassing from somebody like Ron DeSantis, who had so many political advantages at the beginning of the year. Now, I'll also say, in addition to the situation with the polling, Ron DeSantis has also had setbacks with respect to fundraising and with personnel changes. And actually, there was a great article in Time which discussed the personnel changes, so we'll kind of tackle that first. And the article is titled, Ron DeSantis' latest staff shakeup is part of a pattern. And so it basically makes the case that the sort of things we've been seeing are actually nothing new to Ron DeSantis, because you may recall before he ran for the governorship of Florida in 2018, for 5 years he was a member of the U.S. House of Representatives. And this high turnover rate was apparently endemic to his office even then. So DeSantis is looking for a fresh start. The report says, or the article says, last week the Florida governor fired roughly a dozen staffers and offloaded two top aides to a pro-DeSantis super PAC, signaling a campaign reset amidst an existential crisis. He's failed to meet fundraising goals, burned cash at an alarming clip. I think in Q2 he spent 40% of his cash on hand, which is profligate in the extreme, and especially when he has very little to show for it. And he's been faltering in the polls. If things don't turn around soon, there may be more layoffs, according to sources familiar with the matter, who say that the donors are exasperated with the campaign's underwhelming performance thus far. But the latest staff shakeup isn't an anomaly within the arc of DeSantis' career, the article says. It's part of a larger pattern of a politician who has struggled to maintain a core group of trusted advisors or loyal employees. And so basically it makes the case, listen, when he was in Congress, he had one of the highest turnover rates in the House of Representatives. No employed member from his 2018 gubernatorial race is working in a senior role in his 2024 presidential race. And things didn't change when he became governor. In his first terms, he fired staffers with enough regularity that some formed an emotional support group, according to a 2021 Politico report. So this isn't good for Ron DeSantis. And Obviously, I don't like him, so there's some schadenfreude here, right? Because I don't like really any Republican politician. You'd struggle to find one that I could say that I tolerate. But DeSantis being such a smug bully, it's funny and gratifying, intensely gratifying to see that his campaign is struggling in the way that it is. And I'm sure we're going to be doing some more DeSantis videos here soon, because it's not just this. I mean, other political commentators have weighed in and posed very challenging questions to him. Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham, and others as well. So I don't know. Part of me thinks that Ron DeSantis was probably just better off sticking with his second gubernatorial term, which he just won in November 2022. So he won in 2018. His term expired in 2022. He ran again in 2022 as the incumbent governor. He won in November 2022. And then a handful of months later, he's announcing that he's running for the presidency. He may be better off just cashing in his chips and pulling out. But we'll see if his ego could abide that.